how did the NBA get to this decision?
So, a lot of times people get caught up into like a number, like what's the number? And we didn't want to do that. Uh, what we wanted to do was, first of all, we knew that there would be some level of punishment, but we didn't want that to be the focus. We wanted the focus to be on how can we help Draymond as well. And we thought indefinite was the best way to do that. So people don't get caught up on here. What's the number? Is it too low? Is it too high? Indefinite means get yourself right. We want to see you at your best, and the best way for you to do that is to get yourself mentally and emotionally back to where you need to be. And so that's how we got to indefinite.
Joe Dumars, appreciate you being on the show, buddy. Thank you so much. I remember when Ja Morant ultimately got suspended by Commissioner Adam Silver. And one of the things that reportedly was transpiring was the fact that Adam Silver was taken aback because he had had a conversation with Ja Morant, and then after that, something else happened, and that really turned him off. I'm going to ask you that same question because I know that you have spoken to Draymond Green on several occasions throughout his career. I know how much he looks up to you. On a personal level, not that personality had something to do with this decision, but on a personal level, how much did that factor into your decision, your part in this decision, considering the multitude of conversations you had personally had with him throughout the years?
You want to see guys grow, Stephen. You want to see guys grow, man, and you want to do what's best for them. Look, there's a role to play here, and the role is to, when someone crosses the line, we really have to step in and adjudicate that. We have to. There's no getting around that. But we can also be human in this too. How can we help this guy? Because clearly something is going on. Clearly he's crossed the line, and we have to deal with it. But there's human element, Stephen, and the human element part of this for me is how can we help this kid get better? And I say kid, he's 33 years old. But for me, these young guys, any of these young guys, whether it's Ja, whether it's Draymond, whoever it is, yes, we have a job to do. But also, man, we can be humans to help these guys get better and grow.
We know his actions obviously played a significant role, of course, in this suspension. How much did his words play a role in this particular decision when he goes into a press conference and he says, I'm going to be Draymond no matter what? Everybody's expecting something different, but this is me. This is what I'm going to be, even though that wasn't necessarily his position the other night after he hit Nurkic. Nevertheless, he had a history of saying he's going to be Draymond. What kind of role does that play in the kind of decisions that came down in regards to him?
Very little to none, Stephen. Like, guy going to a press conference saying something is one thing. And look, you've been around, I've been around long enough to know that guys chirp, they say things, they stand their ground. That happens. Those aren't the things that really get your attention as the actions on the floor. It's the actions in the games. It's these things that cross the line. That's where you really have to step in, and we have to come together at the league office, meet, discuss this stuff, and try to come up with the best solutions. But the words themselves at a press conference, very little, Stephen.
Is the league of the mindset that this is something that they should have done earlier, that in a roundabout way, I don't want to use the word enabler because that's a bit too strong, but perhaps if a heavy hand had been brought down upon them where an indefinite suspension had happened, per se, let's say after the Sabonis incident or after the Rudy Gobert incident, that maybe this could have been curtailed? Is that the mindset of the thinking of the league office at all?
No, we don't really Monday morning quarterback here. We do what we think is best in the moment. And the decisions that we've made over the last, I don't know, 18 months or so, every one of them was like deeply discussed internally here. These weren't just like quick snap decisions. I mean, like a lot of conversations that have gone on. And then you come out with the best decision that you can make at that time. So we really don't go back and look at it. Even like this one, Stephen, a lot of conversations the last 2 days on this. And indefinite is where we came out, and everyone here agrees with it. And we think it's what's best for him, it's what's best for the Warriors, and it's what's best for the league.
What does indefinite mean from a minimum perspective? We understand that the number is, there's no number attached to it, and I get what you were saying initially. But nevertheless, Mike Wilbon was on Get Up with me a bit earlier, and you know the great Mike Wilbon and what he was having to say. He said if indefinite ends up amounting to a 5 or a 7 game suspension, that would not be a good thing. So when you say the word indefinite, from a minimum perspective, can you give us any kind of clue whatsoever what that entails?
Stephen, we have no number. And here's the reason why. And please let Mike know this. The reason we don't have a number is because the help that he needs to get, getting himself better, is what's most important. And I don't want to, Adam doesn't want to, we don't want to put a number on, you have this many games to go out and get the help that you need to get better. And so leave it as indefinite until that time comes. And that's why even when you say indefinite and then you throw out a minimum number on it like that, Stephen, you're not really living up to what you're saying that you really want to do. And so we're going to leave it as indefinite for him to get better. And when that time comes, he'll be back. But tell Mike that there is no number that we have here. Andre Iguodala has been exceptional since he stepped into the role. First and foremost, I think he's going to be great in that role for however long he stays in it. And he was on board with us with this because, you know, when I talked to Andre yesterday, it was about Draymond getting better and what we can do together, what we can agree on together, what's best for Draymond at this time, what's best for the Golden State Warriors, what's best for the league office is for him to get better with it being indefinite, Stephen. And Andre was on board with that. So he's been exceptional in helping us craft this.
What kind of reaction have you received from the Golden State Warriors once this decision came down?
Very supportive. Talk with Steve Kerr, talk with Mike Dunleavy. Those guys are on board. They understand. Look, everyone, the good thing about this, Stephen, is that from the league office perspective, from the Players Association perspective, and from the team perspective, every single entity is on board with each other. We are all in agreement on this. There's been no pushback, any of that. Everybody's on board with, you know what, this is the right thing to do to help him get better.
The person that's on the air right now talking to me is a person that was a 2-time champion as an NBA player, a Hall of Fame player, by the way, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, one of the great executives in the history of basketball, 6 consecutive trips to a conference finals, back-to-back trips to the NBA finals, an NBA champion as an executive. And now here you are in the league office. But when people look at Joe Dumars, there's a different component that they see on top of all of that. Even though it wasn't you, you were the guy that played for the bad boy Pistons, and obviously, Tom, they played by a different set of rules in a lot of people's eyes. So when people are looking at Joe Dumars and they're seeing a decision like this be made because of Draymond Green's transgressions, they're saying. Some people are saying, I don't think after today they're saying that, but some people have said, my goodness, how can that happen? How could he come to that conclusion? What does Joe Dumars say about today's culture and what people need to understand about today's NBA's game and how it's called and the kind of behavior that you're mandating moving forward?
The first word that comes to mind for me is integrity. I think you have to have integrity to do this. I'll say this, being at this league office with Adam as the commissioner has been exceptional in this role from the standpoint of integrity and doing what's right for not only the league as a whole, the perception of the league, but for the players themselves. Stephen, we don't want to just be punitive in this. It's not about just being punitive to the players when they cross the line. It's about, yes, you're going to have to sit for whatever amount of games you sit, but also here's an olive branch of we want to help you get better. And so I think that's the thing that I would say to everyone is that when you look at the league office right now, when you look at Adam as a commissioner and my role here, man, look, we're trying to do both. And you can do both. You don't have to just be punitive. You don't have to just put the olive branch out. You can do both at the same time. And that's what we try to balance here at all times, Stephen.
A couple of questions before I let you get on out of here, and thank you so much again for giving us your time. When you look at it, when you look at the situation right now in terms of Kevin Durant and what he said, a former teammate, won championships with Draymond Green, I hope that he gets the help that he needs. When you see Jusuf Nurkic says, I don't know what's wrong with that brother. How did that factor into y'all decision, hearing actual players give indication there's a problem here?
So, look, these are the discussions that we have and had all over the last 48 hours, Stephen. We've discussed this internally. Like, so when we see guys say stuff like that, yeah, we see it, and you look at it and it kind of confirms what we're saying internally anyway. But it doesn't like sway any part of the decision. It's just that it's just another factor that we look at and look, guys are saying, look, man, we want to see this guy get better. Whatever he needs to do, take a break, step away from the league for a while, get your life together, get yourself together. And I think when you hear guys saying that, you know this, Stephen, this is a fraternity, man. And these guys, yeah, they're going to compete. They may get into it. But at the end of the day, this is a fraternity. And, these guys want to see the best for other guys, even guys that they're competing against. They want to see the best for those guys, Stephen.
Reports have indicated that you're supposed to be speaking to Draymond. You guys are supposed to be speaking with Draymond Green today. I'd like to know what you want to hear from him, what you expect to hear from him. What could he possibly say to you at this particular moment in time, meaning you, the league office, not just you?
I can say this. Whenever I have conversations with Draymond, they're always respectful. They're very good. He understands there's a whole lot of care for him, but he also knows that I have a job to do. Adam has a job to do. He also knows that. He knows where we're coming from with that, Stephen. So whenever there's never really a bad conversation with him, ever really a bad conversation. So I don't know. I can't sit here and map out the conversation, what he's going to say, what I'm going to say. But you can rest assured, it's never a bad conversation, Stephen. He understands extremely well what we have to do here. He understands what's expected. He understands that people have his best interests at heart.